Hello everyone. I wanted to do something different today, and that was the unboxing of my very new Tarot of Dreams by Ciro Marchetti. It's a deck and box set, as you can see, and I have been waiting for this for so long I can't even tell you. I couldn't get it locally, and so I actually had to send away for it. So I got it from the book depository. Always a good place to get your stuff from because it is cheaper from book depository. As you can see, the cellophane is still on. Okay, so I am taking this off, as you can see, and because I wanted to do a proper, complete unboxing. Okay, so I'm using my my round nose plier because you know I'm also a jeweler of sorts. So here it comes. So I first got to know about this deck when I was watching a tarot reading by a lovely lady. Now, so isn't this gorgeous? Just the box, it's beautiful. It's a matte finish. The picture is just so evocative. I just completely love this. So as I was saying, so I first saw this tarot being used by a lady and I subscribed to her, but she seems to have disappeared, and which is really sad because I really loved her readings and I'm not sure what quite happened. And so I was looking for Ciro Marchetti's books. I was looking for Ciro Marchetti's books and tarot cards, and I started to look online and I saw that he had so many, and the one that really caught my eye was this, the Tarot of Dreams. So the guidebook is right on top. Wow, look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? I'm just loving it so much. So this is the Tarot of Dreams guidebook, and it's by Lee Burstein. I think he's done some other guidebooks as well, and he's well known from what I gather. So it says here about the author. So he's the author of the Zodiac Tarot, the Gay Tarot, and the Universal Marseille Tarot Companion. Okay, so he sounds like he's done quite a bit of work here. And so there are no pictures inside of the tarot cards themselves, but there's quite a bit of write-up, so I'm waiting myself to dive into them and to see what they can be. And it talks about esoteric symbol systems in the Tarot of Dreams, and then it says that the top corners of each of the 78 tarot cards you will see several symbols. These refer to correspondences with esoteric systems of Kabbalah, the four elements, and astrology. And I've been wanting to delve into the Kabbalah more deeply, and so it's awesome that they have this. So they have the correspondence for the Hebrew letters that are on the cards, and then so then the reference here is to the various sort of major arcana cards here. So, and then the same thing also, there's a list of signs and planets, and they are assigned trumps. So this is for, again, the major arcana here. So again, waiting to dive into this and to learn more. And then it talks about the numbered minors. The ancient system of the decans has been used in accordance with the Golden Dawn. Of course, the Golden Dawn is a esoteric society, somewhere around the 1800s. I don't know whether they were still around in the early 1900s. So I think they were called the Society of the Golden Dawn or something like that. So they came up with their own system as well. And so this has got some information on that. And then there's the introduction to the major arcana. And so it's a bit of a write-up there. And then it goes into what the meanings are of the Fool, and also an explanation of the artwork, I think, and the same thing all throughout. So you have for several. So then, for example, so it talks about the lovers here. It says a relationship of any kind, or specifically a love relationship, sharing one's viewpoint with another successfully or unsuccessfully, revealing vulnerabilities, a partially revealed mystery, and attraction of opposites. So, and then it talks about this all in relation to the journey of the fool. So, again, very interesting stuff, very nicely written. So this is, I guess, the information that one would use over and above what you would intuit yourself as a reader, as a psychic, and also in addition to, I guess, the Rider Waite system, because what I understand is that it is based on the Rider Waite system, and that is the system that I have myself studied and I feel the most comfortable with. So it's been nicely, the deck itself has been nicely divided into two parts, okay? So it's quite a thick deck if you look at it, okay? Wrapped up separately. Oh God, I just love the back of this. Isn't this utterly divine? So you've got the back of this looking so pretty. And so it's nice that they've been nicely wrapped up. So when you have them in the deck, in the card box rather, it's going to be, they're not going to roll around. And the card size itself is very nice. It's just nice for my hands. I mean, I don't have large hands, and I always have a bit of a trouble with some of the big decks, especially the oracle decks that tend to be bigger, broader sort of thing, and my hands are not that big. So I do like the size of this. This deck is from the US Games. So I didn't get one of the collector's sets that are around at the minute and that cost a bomb, because I did look into that. They cost a bomb. But if you are a collector, you will definitely want to look into that. And what I like also, look at this, the cards themselves have a matte finish. So they're not very reflective. And so really nice, and I really like the feel of these cards. My goodness. So, they're not sticking together. And unlike a lot of Ciro's decks, these are not gilded, yeah? So the sides of these aren't gilded. And yet, they just separate so nicely. Very nice card, good stock, I would say, And so, of course, the first card that we have is the Fool. And it is just such an evocative card. I mean, look at this. It's the Fool. And he's holding the globe in his hands. And you don't see his full face. You see a mask. And you see this, it's like the fool of old, who would be the jester, isn't it? So you'd have that kind of a hat or whatever this is, headdress, reminiscent of that of a jester. So it's like a court jester sort of thing, and he's standing on a globe. And what is so interesting, because normally when in the Rider Waite, you see the jester's about to literally fall off a cliff, and here he's not falling off anything. He's just standing on the ball, perfectly balanced, perfectly balanced, completely in his power, if you look at this card. And there is no doggy. Normally you have the little doggy running by the side of the the Fool. Here there is no such thing. You have instead a little cat, a little kitten, that's adorable, who is playing with a little butterfly, if you can just see that. Isn't that beautiful and amazing? And then you have this rainbow. Look at this rainbow that's going around this figure and the ball and the cat. So this is just utterly amazing. And then the Magician card. Look at this, the Magician card. it's like he has the aces of the other cards with it, you know. So there's the ace of wands, sorry, the ace of swords, the ace of cups, the ace of, I think here it's called coins, and there should be ace. There should be the, and then the wand, of course, is in his hands. Oh no, the wand is here. The wand is here, and he's holding a magical staff that looks like a caduceus. Okay, because the top of it looks like it's three snakes sort of intertwined, you know, in a very interesting fashion. So he's got a caduceus really in his hands, and he's holding a globe in another. And the figure looks very mysterious and very intent, and I just completely love the energy of this. So amazing. And then look at the high priestess. She's just called the priestess here. And again, this repetition of these globes, as you can see, right? And in her hand, she's got this very interesting mirror. She's holding up a mirror, you know, and then there are candles. And then it says here, and the scroll on her lap or on the table, darkness into darkness, the key to all mysteries. Wow. Look at the depth of it. And of course, she still looks pretty much Egyptian, or perhaps even one could say, you know, gypsy-like in the way she's dressed. The sickle moon, though, is still here on the card. She has a forehead as a moon, sickle moon on it, and the sickle moon, of course, is a throw, or rather reference to the Isis schools of mystery, okay, where the sickle moon is one of their a symbol of the order. And you can see here's the moon as well, and so you can see that, okay, here are the planetary references. Okay, so here's the moon, and then over here is the Hebrew alphabet. I'm not sure what that is. Again, one is going to have to do a bit of studying, I reckon, before, you know, delving into it. Although knowing me, I'll just jump right into it myself and then learn along the way. And here's the Empress. The Empress, she's holding this lovely glowing baby in her arms, or rather in her hands, so preciously. And this infant looks like it's come from the light. And, you know, I've seen pictures where the Empress is shown pregnant, and here it's taken a step further. So she has brought forth, not only is she fertile, but she's brought forth life itself. Okay? And just look at the bounty, the harvest here that she has. The colors are just beautiful, 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 beautiful. And then here's the Emperor looking very regal, very powerful. And with his dress, you know, it's so interesting because it almost looks like, you know, it's like another planet, or it could be some ancient civilization if you look at the way, you know, he's depicted, and very powerfully. And he's standing. It looks like he's not even sitting. He's standing. The figures here are standing. They don't seem to be sitting in the normal fashion, you know, in the Rider Waite. So there's that. And oh, look at the Hierophant. So instead of saying Hierophant, it's faith. And if you look closely, you can see that there are other symbols in, you know, there's symbols all around, okay, in a circle. So, you know, so here's the Jewish symbol, the Christian symbol, the Hindu symbol, the Buddhist symbol. This will be Wiccan. Not sure what this is. Then this would be the Taoist symbol, the yin and the yang, and there's another Taoist sort of, right, or at least Chinese or Mandarin writing. Not sure whether this is the Muslim symbol, the sickle moon and the star. So, you know, wow. Just loving this so much. I mean, just loving the cards, and they're so easy. I love the fact they're not sticking to each other. That already is a huge bonus, especially when you're dealing with a new deck. And look at this. This is card number 6. This is the Lover's card. Again, you can see candles in the foreground. They're holding tight to each other, and there are veils or curtains, you know, sort of, or they could be, I think they're lying, he's lying down, she is astride him. Oh, very evocative, beautiful image. So beautiful. And this is the chariot. With beautiful horses. And what's so interesting is, I mean, I adore steampunk. And that's one of the reasons I was drawn to this set, because if you look at this, for example, this looks really sort of steampunkish, because it's got all of these gears. It's got this, I'm not quite sure what that is, some sort of a building. Maybe it's a clock tower. I'll need to look into the guidebook for the symbolism. Okay, so you have the charioteer with his two horses in this beautiful, beautiful sea. Amazing, just amazing. So I just wanted to show a couple of pictures from here, but the more that I look at it, the more I want to show show you everything. But I'm going to try and to pick, what sort of stands out to me. So here the hangman, or here it's called the hanging man. And it's interesting because here we don't see his face. He's got his back towards us. And then he's got all of these symbols on his naked body. And here, yeah, he's naked. And pretty well-toned body, I would say. So he's hanging naked and not from a tree. He looks like he's suspended between heaven and earth. And again, here we've got this this sort of object here that looks reminiscent of some sort of machine. You've got the gears here, a gear here, I would say. Again, I love this sort of steampunk kind of art. And so he's suspended. And in the distance, at first I thought it was a planet, but no, it's not. It's some disc of some sort. And then here it looks like an astrology wheel. So there's a lot of symbolism with wheels and discs in these cards, I noticed, and it'll be interesting to understand further the symbolism for this. So it's hanging suspended between heaven and earth, and then this looks like the sun, doesn't it, in the distance here, with at least a source of light coming in and lighting his way. Beautiful, just beautiful. The more I look at this, the more I'm just amazed. Oh yes, one more thing, of course. There is a border around these cards. Okay, so there is a border. I'm pretty okay with it. I know some people might be fussed. I myself am not. I'm not fussed about it at all. I just think, it's just the way it's been done, really. Beautiful. Oh, and then so here they also have some of the suits, and they also have some of the court cards. Okay, so for example, so this is the Four of Wands. Four of Wands looks like so different. Normally we're looking at a celebratory picture when it comes to the Rider Waite deck. Here we're looking at four wands, which are painted, looking more like pillars really, and a doorway. And a doorway in the midst of a forest. It's like a doorway to another realm that's inviting us to go in and to explore. So, very different symbolism for some of the cards. And so understanding it is going to be a treat. And look at this Ace of Wands here. Look at this. Wow. So it's got this monitor. Well, what's a monitor? It's not a monitor, is it? An iguana. I guess you would call it an iguana. So you've got an iguana at the back of this, and then in the distance there's a volcano. Okay, and then there's a triangle in the foreground. So the triangle, if I'm not mistaken, is the symbol for earth. It's the alchemical symbol for earth. But it's a very fiery picture as well, because because the wand itself, I mean, if you think about it, the wand is a symbol for fire too, isn't it? As far as the four elements are concerned. So it's a fire element card. So that's why you see the volcano in the distance. Amazing. Just simply amazed. And then Temperance. Wow, look at this, Temperance. So it's this gorgeous figure of an angel who's naked, and she's holding out her hands sort of like stretching out to try and catch this disc that looks like it's full of fire. And then, so this disc is full of fire, and then there's this disc that has what looks like water in it. So it's interesting. So she's got, so she's it looks like she's straddling, not straddling per se, because she's not really straddling, but it's like she is bridging, I would say, the different elements. And then again, we see this beautiful rainbow in this picture as well. So the symbology of this is really amazing. And it's just sort of, it just begs one to really go into the book and to learn and understand what this is about. And look at the devil card. So it's the horned one, and as we can see, instead of the figure being bound in chains, it's interesting because the chains are being held by the devil. And then there's the ancient symbol for the 5 elements, the pentacle there, traditionally associated with the dark crafts, but we know, of course, now that's not quite the case. And then there is the figure that's in a cage. And now what's interesting is it looks like this is the figure of the fool. Traditionally in the Rider Waite, we have 2 figures, the male and female, that are more reminiscent of the Lover's card, but like the Lover's card in its extreme negative context, right? So here it looks like it's more the fool that's in the cage. Look, because on the top of the head is that headdress that the fool had earlier on. And whereas earlier on the fool was fully dressed, and then here it's just him standing in the cage. So so I would love to really delve into what all this is about. And just look at the tower. The tower that still has that streak of lightning on the top of it, but it also has the light coming down. And there are no human figures in this picture. And it's very beautiful, very Moorish looking design of that building in the card. And the Judgment card, wow, just look at this. In the Judgment card, we have this figure that looks like, or at least there are angelic wings, this beautiful sort of yellow golden wings, and a figure, or rather not a figure, a face, okay, with the symbol of earth. I think the symbol of earth appears on the top of the angel's head, if I'm not mistaken. And then then there are these 2 figures here holding again this ring. It's very interesting. And then you see all of these figures rising up. Okay, that's somewhat reminiscent of the Rider Waite. At least they're sort of rising up from the coffins, but here they seem to be rising up from the clouds. And then here, this is the World card. Traditionally, would be the last card of the major arcana, isn't it? And then here we have the Fool without the cat, and he's still standing on the ball. And we see the world map behind him, and we see this disc. Now, and then we see the 4 elements. Okay, we're not seeing the 4 animals, but the 4 elements. So here's water, fire. This is representative of air or wind, and this would be earth. I think this green would be the earth. So it's pretty interesting. And look at the 2 of Wands. 2 doorways. Isn't that interesting? 2 doorways. One has pink, one has blue. It's a stairway here, no figures in the picture. Normally there is a figure of a man, and normally it's an outdoor view. So again, different from a departure from the Rider Waite. I mean, you can see that there are whispers and nod to the Rider Waite sort of deck or philosophy or whatever, or the style of it. But there have been so many departures and very, very different sort of thought, I think, put into this. And this would be the Six of Wands. This would be what I would call the victory card normally. Normally the figure we see on the horse is very soft, sitting on the horse, and here this figure looks very different, very hard indeed. So yep, so you have a lot of wands here, so that would be in that first half of the deck, and this is the second half of the deck. So wow, just looking at the pictures, I think I'm going to be spending time, quite a bit of time, to just understand the idea behind the card. So I think this is where the guidebook becomes really necessary, because I think there's going to be a lot of research that I'll have to do into the figures, into, you know, the meanings, and I think it goes definitely just way beyond what I would interpret as far as the Rider Waite decks are concerned. Look at the Five of Cups. So you still have the Three Cups in front of the figure, but in this case the figure is a woman, and you've got the Two Cups at the back. It's just so evocative, and you can just see from her face, you know, how the struggle and the suffering, the sadness. And just look at the Six of Cups. In the traditional Rider Waite, I would call it the past life card, or the soulmate card, where you've known each other in previous lifetimes, etc. Whereas here, the Six of Cups, it's so beautiful. You've got this, the two children. The boy looks a bit older, the child looks very cherubic still. And then you've got all the flowers and the plants, sort of, again, a nod to the Rider Waite, you know. And it's a beautiful energy between the two figures, so sweet. Look at the Seven of Cups. Here also you have, you know, all these different things in the cups themselves, and then the snake is there. Here there's a ladybird. I mean, there's some other things, of course, in the other. Oh, sorry, it's the Seven of Cups. So yeah, we've got the keys and the jewelry. So you still have some of that. Wow, look at this, the Three of Swords. And here the figure is crying. You can see the tears coming down from, I suppose you would say the figure, the face rather, is more feminine. The face is more feminine. There seems to be like a Princess Leia kind of hair, I think, if I'm looking at it correctly. Okay, and she's crying. And the swords are there, sort of hanging or dancing in front of her. And the face just says so much. This is the Four of Swords, and here you can see one sword here, three swords in the foreground, and the figure that is sleeping. So there are some cards that I would say would be more easily interpreted in terms of you know, their correspondence to the Rider Waite, and then there would be others that would just be, you know, such that, you know, it will take you some time, or take me some time. You know, maybe for some of you it'll be, you know, a cinch, but I reckon for me I'm going to have to, you know, do some study into it, maybe diving into it for friends, but probably needing to spend a little bit of time with it before I start to use this in my readings on YouTube or elsewhere, or for my clients. The Two of Coins. The Five of Coins. Traditionally what I would call the poverty card. It's the Seven of Coins, the little doggy, in this picture, the woman looks like, you know, she's, I can't say exactly, but maybe 17th, 18th century, possibly. This is the 8 of coins. So the cards are amazing. And look at this, the 9 of coins. The figure here, even though I would say it's feminine because of the ruffles and everything, but really this could be either gender, isn't it? Because it could be a guy, but, you know, a really sort of more feminine sort of male figure. And this is the 9 of coins. So normally, traditionally, it's the woman in the garden, isn't it? Surrounded by that. And even here, this figure has got the dove. The dove. That one, I think, is more like something like a hawk or falcon that is on her fingers. But here, it's a dove. So it's a softer image, you know, one could say, in a way. And these are all the coin cards. And then there are the extra cards that have come in. For example, this is the Tree of Life card. So it'll be interesting to know how one would use this in a reading. But perhaps in the beginning, I don't even think I will use it until I figure it out, you know, and in a better way. And I know that there are 4 additional cards. Oh, look at the Page of Cups. So beautiful. The Knight of Cups is actually riding a seahorse. And the Queen of Cups, wow, look at her. Absolutely gorgeous. So, yes, so I wanted to also say that there are these additional 4 cards too, apart from the Tree of Life, that are the Palace cards. Like this would be the Palace of Cups. And I've heard it say that when it comes to these cards, it gives a sort of context. Exactly what context, I do not as yet know. So I am looking forward to understanding what these additional cards are about. What I'm happy about is that some of the artwork I think I can relate to more easily because they do have a correspondence with the Rider Waite deck. And I think that's one that fell. But with the others, I think it's going to be more difficult, you know, because there's going to be research involved, you know, understanding the symbolism of the cards, why they're different, and if that actually makes any difference in the interpretation itself, or what are the other layers of meaning that could possibly also come out as a result of the artwork and the energy of the artwork. Oh, wow, okay. First of all, I can say when it comes to shuffling the cards, they seem to fly out very easily. First of all, because they are so thick. Look at that, because it's like, I think 82 cards, if I'm not mistaken. Wow, that's a lot of cards. So even though size-wise, it's very comfortable for my hand, the fact that it is so thick makes shuffling it, I think, a little bit more challenging, especially because they are a bit slippery. Okay, so it's really good card stock and somewhat slippery. So I think that's all I've got to say, really. I'm going to go and play with these in a bit. So I look forward to your comments below. I hope that you will let me know what you think of the cards, if you have used them, and what has been your experience with the cards. And I look forward to hearing from you. So until then, have a lovely, lovely week. And so that's goodbye from me. And then there are crystals who have been our journeyman, as always, in the corner. Okay, so bye now.